Hello everybody, today I'm sharing with you a project that I've put together, and this project is a vintage style, either hanky box or Christmas card box. It's a vintage style, but obviously it's not vintage papers or anything like that. Earlier in the year I purchased the Stamperia Sweet Christmas paper pack. I also purchased the Dream Collection and the Atelier one as well. It was back when Shilpa was showing them on her channel, so it was quite a few months ago now, and I was going through papers the other day and I thought, what do I want to use that for? Because I know in my craft room I want to do pastel Christmas, and I've never really done a pastel Christmas before, so I thought it might be the perfect opportunity to use this paper and have like a little heirloom box for myself for my craft room. Something that I can put like Christmas things in to work with over the Christmas period, like the curating for Christmas. I can put things in there that I can use. So this is the little box I've put together, and it's all handmade, and I have put together a tutorial for it, and I hope you find it useful. Now, I've never crocheted this much in my life. I've never attempted something like this, so it may not be perfect, but I'm quite pleased with the way it does look. So I've used all the lovely pictures from this Stamperia collection, and inside I used mainly the green tones so that it wasn't too pink. I did use a written tutorial by a lady whose blog name is Robin Amelia, and I will put a link to that in the description box below. Now, as I said, it's a written tutorial, and I have followed it as best I can, but I did get confused in some places. So hopefully that will help anybody else who is wanting to make something like this. Maybe my mistakes can be to your benefit. And like I said, I'm not a crocheter, so if I can do this, I think anybody can do it. And if you are a person who crochets, then you will get it done a lot quicker than what I've done it. So anyway, that's my lovely little heirloom hanky box or Christmas card box. I love it. I love the vintage style of it. I'm so pleased that I could use this paper collection in a way that is useful, that I can admire at Christmas time, and that will be with me for a few years to come yet. So I really hope you enjoy the tutorial. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. So the paper line I'm using is the Stamperia Sweet Christmas scrapbooking paper pack, and I've used, there's actually a sheet in here and it's full of these lovely images, and there were 6 images, so that was perfect. So this is the template that I printed out, and it's from Robin Amelia Blogspot, and this one is called Sadie's Hanky's box. That's how it comes. I printed that out 3 times so that I could cut each individual piece out. So we have our lid, which is smaller than the base. You will see the base is the larger one. So you need to cut both of those sizes out, and also the template for the side of the basket. And then you go along and you punch all your holes in them. Let me, like this, and if you had one of those crocodiles, it would make the job so much easier, but I don't have one of those. I have this old-fashioned hole punch that I've been using. Use about a 1/8 hole, or approximately 2 to 3 millimeter hole for your punch out. I just punched one out, and then I used that one as a guide and laid it on top of the other ones and drew a dot. Then I put 2 or 3 pieces together and punched them out all together like that. It was time consuming, but like I said, if you had a crocodile, it would be so much easier. With your dots, I just got a pencil and approximated about 8 millimeters, which is just under ½ an inch. I went in about 6 millimeters and then across around about 8 millimeters. It's more an approximation. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. And then I just put my tool over the dot, and like I said, this is really quite time consuming, but if you had a better tool to make your holes, then it would go much quicker. So I'm just going to finish off that, and each, like this is my lid, and I have 2 layers to make it stronger. You can also put some clear plastic over that if you like, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want mine looking all shiny. I want it to look vintage and with a matte finish. So I'll just go and finish all my holes. So that's done, and I do just want to show you that I actually had to piece some papers together just to make sure that I had enough, especially with the images. Let me just show you if I can. Alright, on the back of this, see how there's another piece of paper stuck to it? Because this particular image, there were 3 images across the page, but the template kind of overlapped a little bit, and I tried to get these fairly central, the images, so I did have to piece a couple of pieces together to make the image wide enough to use with the template. I hope that makes some sense. Okay, now I need to find myself some crochet yarn and a hook, etc. Now I'm not an experienced crocheter, and I have a box here, and this is supposed to have all my crochet stuff in here, but like, you know, all my crochet yarn is fairly neutral, so let's just find a hook would be good. I've got a pin in there. Oh, here we go. Okay, so maybe I have some wool. I don't know. The pink looks quite pretty, doesn't it? That might keep it nice and neutral. We'll see. Okay, I have no idea. I don't think the instructions tell you what size thread and things to use. It just sort of says using crochet rayon or a similar weight. And she's actually used machine cotton to do hers in her particular one. So it doesn't actually tell you what size yarn to use or what size needle. So I guess I'm going to have to have a little guess. That one's very narrow, so I doubt it would be that one. I'm thinking that one might be a bit too wide. That one looks alright. What's that? That's a 2.5. What's that one? That's a 4. So I guess as long as I can get it through here comfortably. What's that one? That's a 2. I wonder if that would be better, whether that would hook onto that alright. That one might be alright. What's that? They're 3.5. They're bigger still. That's a 1.75. What's that? That's a 1. It's too small. And that's a 1.5. That's a 2. Okay, I'm going to go with the 2. So keep those all together. And these are just things I've pretty much found at the op shop. My daughter used to crochet, so I used to pick them up from time to time. So I think I'll go with the pink, simply because the only other ones are like this sort of thing, and they're really fine. So this one's a bit thicker. Pretty sure that's what I've got there. Okay, now I don't really know what I'm doing, and all it says is using crochet rayon or similar weight in this box, I use 4 to 5 machine cottons to get the colour, but one thread is way better, less fussy and catchy. Work with single crochet stitch. Do 2 to 4 in each hole, depending on how thick your thread is. She usually does 3. Do all of the pieces, and that's all it says. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is make ourselves a loop and put our thread through it. Tighten it up a little bit, but don't over tighten it, otherwise it'll be hard to pull through. Find the template piece you're going to be using. Make sure you've got your backing on it. Hold on to the long yarn that's attached to the roll, and perhaps hold on to the smaller one with the other hand so that it doesn't get in the way. Put your hook in a hole, grab the yarn behind, pull it through. So now you have 2 threads on the hook. Wrap the yarn around again and then pull it through once and pull it through that first one, which is always a little bit tricky on the first pass. Now we have 1 in our hole. We're going to do the same thing again. Go back through the hole, grab the yarn, wrap the yarn around and bring it through those bottom 2 loops. Now we do 1 chain, like that, and we're going into the next hole. Grab that yarn, bring it up, wrap it around and bring it through both of those, and then again wrap it around, bring it through both of those bottom loops. Then we're going to do a chain again. Alright, we've done our single chain. Now before I go to the corner here, I'm just going to get rid of that sharp edge. I'm just going to gently curve it around like that, just so it doesn't poke through the crochet on the corner. We've done our single chain. Now we're going to go into the corner one. We're going to do 4 into the corner. So it's exactly the same as each of the holes. Alright, sorry the camera cut out. So I'm just coming to another corner here. I've done my 1 chain and I'm just trimming off the sharp edge on that cardstock, and I'm going to go into the corner 4 times. So I have gone into my holes around the edges twice. So whatever you're doing into your holes around the edges, the corners you should double. So I'm doing the corners 4 times. If you go into each hole once, then you would go into your corners twice, maybe 3 times. If you go into your straight side holes 3 times, then you would do your corners 6 times. Once I've done it 4 times there, I do another chain, and then I continue going around into the side holes 2 times until I get to my next corner, and then once again I do the corner part 4 times. So alright, so I'm just coming up on finishing this particular one. I've done my chain. I'm going into my hole twice, like so, and instead of making a chain there, what I'm doing is where I started, I'm pushing my hook up through that first, see there's a little knot on the end, that very first chain. Let me just show you that again. That's what it looks like. I'm pushing that up there, through there. I'm wrapping the yarn around, pulling that through, and then pulling it through again, opening that up, cutting my yarn, pulling my yarn through that loop, and just tightening it off like that. And that's how I've been ending my particular cards. Once you've gone around the edge of the lid, you finish off as normal by taking it into that first chain at the top there, bringing it through, and then bringing it through again. And now what we're going to do is a picot stitch. Now I've never done a picot stitch before. The instructions say to look up on YouTube and find something that you like. There's plenty out there. I watched a couple. The instructions also say just make it up as you go along as well, which suits me fine. So I'm just going to have a little play and see how I go. So that first one is a slip stitch, and I put that in between those 2 stitches. Now I'm going to do three chain stitch, like that, then back through that same hole and do another slip stitch, like that, and then in slip stitch between these 2 here, like that, and then 3 chain, and then back into there to do another slip stitch. And from what I can gather from videos that I saw, they're all pretty much like this. They're just variations. Then in between those 2 stitches, I'm going to do another slip stitch. And then between the holes there, I'll do another one, and 3 chains. Back into that same hole. oops, back into that same hole to do another slip stitch. And then between those two stitches there, and doing another slip stitch. I think it's probably best not to pull it too tight as it's done. Then between the stitches, a slip stitch, and then 3 chain. And back in there to do a slip stitch. And then just carry along like that between those 2 stitches there, another slip stitch. And then 3 chain. Back into that hole, and another slip stitch. And that just puts a little picot edging around the edge of the lid, just to give it a little frilly effect, and hopefully that will turn out quite nicely. Yeah. We'll see how it goes anyway. I'll show you when I'm finished. The next thing I wanted to show you was joining the sides together. So I have 3 of my side pieces there. I have a nice large-eyed needle there, and the needle is actually quite blunt at the end. So it's ideal for this sort of work. Now, if you have a problem threading the yarn onto a needle, use a needle threader. It's probably the easiest way. In the same spot on each of my pieces, I left some long threads, and I'm going to use those to sew the sides up. If you didn't leave any long threads, then just thread a needle with some of the same yarn. Now all my pictures are going to the outside, so I'm going to line them up so they're nice and even, like that. Making sure they're nice and even and the right way up. And then I'm just going to sew the sides together like this, just every so often, taking it under the chains on both sides. So I go under those ones and under those ones there. And they don't have to be too small, these stitches. Taking it right up to that corner. When I get here, I'm going to do another stitch like that, and I'm going to knot the wool, turn it the opposite way, and then I'm just going to run my needle back through the back of it, in and out. Like that, and then trim that off, being careful not to cut any of my stitches. So there we have the top part joined together, and now with the other thread that I had there, I'm also going to sew that bottom part up. So just the same thing again, going through those stitches. Hopefully this will be long enough. If not, I'll just join another piece. Keeping it nice and even. All the way down to the corner. Once you're at the corner there, just make a little knot, and then when you turn it the opposite way around to the other side, you'll notice there's a curve now. See how that's curved? Just pop it over like that. So you can do the same thing again, just run your needle up through that crochet work and trim the excess off. Turn it back like that, and there we have two pieces joined together. They will now be attached to these ones. I will join it there, and I will join my last piece on as well, and then I will be back. For the base, I think this is how you do it. It doesn't say an awful lot about the base. It just sort of says, pin the base into position and hand stitch it on using a buttonhole or blanket stitch, leaving the outside loop free to make it prettier. You can crocheting it, but stitching is apparently easier. So I've clipped it how I think it might go, and I think I might just need to be maneuvering it as I go around like that. So I will need some thread. Still got to finish the top, so let me just cut off a generous piece of that, and see if we can work out how to put the base on. Okay, we'll start somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to go like right on top of the cardstock. All right, we have to we have to cut a length off. So let's just tie that off, shall we? Just to get ourselves started. Actually, no, that's the wrong place to start. That's pretty much at the front. So I'm taking the least liked picture, which is over here. I've got some threads there, maybe I can start with that thread. See, I'm doing all this so that if you want to make one, it might be less complicated for you, so I can make all the mistakes first. Okay, so we will use that. So we're going under all all the threads like that. I'm just going to go in and out because I'm not quite sure how you would do a blanket stitch with the crochet there. So I'm just going to go against the top of the cardstock and do a running stitch. That might work, I hope. That way you still get that crochet effect on the outside. So I think that will work to have that, and then I can push it down once it's finished. Okay, so I'm just going to do a running stitch, like going in one side, out the other, and feeling the top of the cardstock and staying close to that. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So there's the lid done with the picot stitching around the edge, which didn't turn out too bad at all. Now I have to join the lid to the box, which would be like that. Choose what picture you'd prefer at the front there. I think I'm going to have the dress, the pretty dress, and have the girl like that. And the instructions are a little bit vague on how to attach the lid here, so I'm kind of thinking, it says a hinge, but it doesn't really tell you how to do it. So I'm going to have a little think and then come back. I'm really not sure how. To have that. Okay, I need to think about that. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 holes across the top there, so I'm going to maybe go in the second one like that. I'm only trying this. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So I'm just going to tie a knot there. I won't trim that off just yet because I don't know if this is going to work or not. And try and okay, so maybe if I put that there like that, then go through like that. What's that? Okay, get those ones out of the way first. So I don't know. back through that hole. So I've basically just looped it around twice. As long as it's still going to open, that should be alright. And as long as I don't pull that, as long as I don't pull it too tight, it should be alright. Let's just tie that off. And then maybe go through over to here and go through that one. I'm trying to keep it straight. Back through. That could work. Okay. Oops, that's a bit. I kind of want, see that one's a little bit loose, so I kind of want the same tension, is that the word you would call it, on both sides. Oh. That looks about right, I think. It seems right. It doesn't look right, but it seems right. So let's just... Okay, that lid's on. I want to put something to weight it down at the front here. That's where we ended there. I'll just put an extra tie in that. And then trim those off. Now I need something there. They usually have like a tassel. Kind of, that only just covers. I'm wondering whether I should have crocheted around here as well. Another row. Because that lid only just fits on it, doesn't it? But then that would make the hole smaller. I've got a weight of some kind, or a washer. It's metal and it's small, and I'm just crocheting around that to see if that will be alright to put on the front of the box, because it's got some weight to it, but it's not too big, because I don't want to cover up all the pretty pictures. So I'm just guessing this is how you go around things. I haven't done that before, so certainly doing a lot of things I'm not usually doing, so that's nice. Always good to try new things, isn't it? And making a box like this has been something I've wanted to do. Actually, I've wanted to find one and buy one, but I've never come across any, so I thought, well, let's make one. And I wanted to be able to use this really pretty paper as well, but I didn't want to just make another journal or just make cards or anything. It's kind of like a little keepsake for Christmas for my craft room. So I've never done a pastel Christmas before, so interesting. Oops, I've got a little visitor here. Hello, Molly. It's not yours. Excuse me. It's not yours. I'm just going to get all tangled in it. Feeling a bit better today. Thank you everybody for your well wishes. I don't get sick very often at all, and when I do, it's like, ugh, I'm dying. Well, not really funny, but you know, you forget what it's like to be unwell, and it makes you appreciate your good health all the more, I guess. Suppose I can fit another one in there. Okay, so how's that? That looks alright, doesn't it? How do I attach it, I wonder? First, let me just finish it off. Okay, and did I just muck that up? Okay, so now that needs to go on there. Should it go like that, I wonder? So I wonder if I can do that. I don't want it hanging too low because there's a pretty little dress there, but then I don't want it too high either. Okay. Can't see. Got the wrong glasses on. I'll do it twice with each one. Is that right? Okay. And then I think we'll just tie it off. I think. Actually, maybe doing, Molly? Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. And just okay, so that's it, like that. And that will, yeah, that's fine. Like that just weights it down enough at the front there to keep the lid closed. Not too big, doesn't take away from the pretty paper at all. And that's my box. That's my vintage box. I feel like I need a couple of flowers here though, because it's a little bit off. Just let me put the crochet things back. It's a little bit off, and I don't like that. Oh. Alright, something like that. I think that looks a bit better. Yeah. Just kind of brings a little bit over there. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll just stick that there. Yeah, with a little bit of tacky glue. Just to fill that gap in a bit. That, and that way it kind of carries on up there as well. like that. Okay, that's it. I think I like that. I think I like that a lot. And that will be my little heirloom box for my craft room. And I hope you found that useful. I hope I've taken the pain out of the instructions for some people. And I hope you give it a go. It's not that hard, especially if you had a crocodile. That would be easy. And anybody with more experience with crochet would find it a lot quicker than I did as well. So thank you so much for watching, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.